Don't make me get too close to my microphone. People got annoyed the last time I did that.
Yeah.
We have apparently everybody except Eric in a usual change to push to talk. There are sound issues because Eric cannot get his technical shit sorted out. But here we are. We are here. I can guarantee that we are on, as WebGorek says, same shit, different day. We do have Dawn with us, so we do have a rule about whether or not we can talk about the EVE Online news of the last week. But how are we doing? Orindus, you jumped in very late. How are you doing this?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well as well. We are on a long weekend over here in Europe. I don't know how the Americas are doing that. But yeah, long Easter weekend over here in Europe. It's going pretty great.
Okay, should work now. I had to move from the default Windows microphone again. So I'm blaming Windows above everything else because, Microsoft.
No, it seems
it's
assumption.
It's a long weekend for some folks over here too.
Not for Eric. Eric's got all the work all the time.
Not for Eric because Eric is a small business owner, never gets a day off.
Technically,
he's on vacation.
Yeah, because they all know my number.
Because they call you, yeah.
That's right.
I mean,
how do we fix
as far
this?
as the Easter stuff goes, though, Derek, no, that's.
I do not. I don't know.
That's something I leave to other people. I gave up Catholicism for Lent many years ago.
Dude, that is awesome.
Well,
I just enjoy the way you did it. I gave it up for Lent.
Yeah, I did.
I exercised my religious views to not exercise my religious views. Beautiful. Hey, well, you know what?
Don't blame anybody on that one.
Actually, I'm muted again. Here's what happened. Dirk and I are chatting, and we're chatting about work, and then again, we don't do any show prep. We don't do any setup. Nothing.
We were literally chatting about work shit until the minute before we went live.
That's not quite true, Eric.
What?
You did show prep.
Not really.
45 minutes ago. 45 minutes ago, you said, "Hey, who the hell's going to be here?"
That's how we do it, folks. That's how we do it. We are lucky. Really we're lucky they let us on the air, man. And by the way, so I'm gonna update Siri. Gonna enlarge that area. There we go. Okay. So this week we're live from the Heritage Classic. These are only 2 weeks on the show that I talk about golf really, that I'm watching. It's right over there on the TV. Right. We got somebody putting.
The rest of the time he's not watching golf.
Yeah, there's golf right there on the TV. Masters and the Heritage. Because the Heritage is live from my favorite place on earth, which happens to be Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. And I celebrated by having some biscuits and gravy this morning, along with my eggs and hash browns.
Eric had scones with sausage sauce this morning.
Biscuits and gravy. And by the way, I there was so much food at breakfast, right? So of course I brought it home, so I can just heat up those biscuits and gravy and eat them on the air. Right in front of Dirk.
Imagine reheating scones.
Yeah, that would suck.
That's horrendous.
I've never had a scone warm.
Yeah, I wouldn't reheat. I wouldn't reheat scones either, but biscuits are pretty good.
Yeah, biscuits are good, especially with chunky sausage gravy with tons of sausage in it. So good. I hate when you go to a biscuits and gravy place, like biscuits and gravy, and it's this kind of white with some gravy with some pepper in it, right? clearly not the right stuff there.
It's a sauce. It's not a gravy.
It's a gravy.
It has chunks in it.
It's
not a gravy.
There happen to be a few turkey chunks and turkey gravy at Thanksgiving too.
Clearly, you never experienced my grandmother's gravy.
Lumpy gravy. Did she make lumpy gravy?
God, yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I actually, when people make like homemade mashed potatoes, I like them, a little bit. Yeah. They gotta have a little baby potato chunks in them.
Tiny little chunks.
Hey, look, that's a very different thing. Like mashed potatoes, especially if they're like creamy mashed potatoes, should have a bit of texture. You shouldn't feel like you're swallowing a sauce when it comes to mashed potatoes. But when it comes to a gravy, it needs to be smooth. It should be smooth. Having chunks in your gravy is not okay.
I mean, did you see that picture of Breck? Was that?
Chunks in your gravy is kind of
sometimes. They kind of cheap the gravy on the biscuits, right? Did you see that horrendous? Was that a good amount of gravy on those biscuits? That was good, huh? Oh, that was good. That's my favorite diner, by the way. We like to go there.
I'm shocked.
We had an excellent. Well, we don't go there often, but we had an excellent waitress. Gave her a good tip. She's fabulous. Everybody's super nice there. So yeah, there you go. Biscuits and gravy.
I'm sorry. Anytime people talk about servers at a restaurant being super nice or super cheerful, I'm just reminded of many years ago. I helped a friend of mine move from here in New York down south, not like the deep south, just fucking Virginia, but not civilized Virginia.
It's like the edge of south,
Yeah, but like I'm talking up in the mountains.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so they're a little country up there, right? A little country.
Right. And I grew up down there for a large chunk of my life, and he had never been down there. So I knew what to expect, and he didn't. When the night that we got everybody moved in, they were like, "Yeah, so let's try this Shoney's place." Right.
Well,
now keep in mind, this friend of mine, right? He'd been a waiter when he was working up here.
Okay.
So the waitress comes over, right? And totally normal thing. She's like, "So how y'all doing tonight?" Right? And he looks at me. He's like, "Everybody's too goddamn happy in this town."
You're in New York, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what we expected a New Yorker to say.
Everyone is always too goddamn happy.
Everybody's too goddamn happy. I just
can't
stop laughing at him.
I like when the Southern waitresses just call you darling. How you doing today, darling? How's everybody doing? Sure thing, darling. Right? I love the Southern waitresses. They rock. Sorry.
I'm not your fucking darling.
No. It's not unusual, man.
I know it's not unusual, but I'm still not your fucking darling.
Not Tom Jones either.
That's right. But she's just being nice, Dirk. She'd just be nice back.
Just being friendly.
By the way, she'll call your wife darling, too.
The fuck is nice?
What?
Nice is she's angling for good tips.
Yeah.
That's what nice is.
That's right.
She's trying to be pleasant so that you have an enjoyable experience, so she gets more money, because they get paid even shittier there than they do here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Europe. We at least try to pay people enough that they can live on over here.
Yeah, this is America. We don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that. You got to be nice. Yeah, unlike in Europe, when you can be nasty and snooty and still make enough money to live, you actually have to be nice to people to survive here in America.
Yeah, because
you got that fucked up. Yeah, that's backwards.
No, Dirk, you just don't understand. I mean, it's a very simple hierarchy of needs. the needs of the small business owner to keep you under their thumb exceed your need to eat. Right, Eric?
Absolutely. That is so not true.
I honestly hadn't realized that Horrendous was Maslow until now, but this explains a whole lot.
We might be pulling your leg a little bit. We're not personally like that. But it's enjoyable.
I mean, getting to call Eric, Eric, getting to call Horrendous Maslow is
you
pretty
like that,
hilarious for me.
Well, you know.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing Dirk would enjoy.
But no, I mean, hey, I like wait staff that are cheerful and help you and get you things that you want, because then you'd like to give them things that they want. It's simple.
It can be, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it just always it always makes me snicker to remember that everybody's too goddamn happy in this town.
That just I have a number of friends.
He still lives there.
Is he still complaining they're too nice? Or is he adapted?
No, he's adjusted. He's actually gotten a lot more laid back and happy in a lot of things.
That's awesome.
So when he comes back to New York, he goes, "Why are people so rude in this town?"
Oh no! Within like 5 minutes, he's totally acclimated again.
Interesting.
My biggest
that's really interesting.
My biggest challenge with our relatives in New York was when we go out there, they like to eat dinner at like fucking 8 o'clock at night. 7:30, 8 o'clock, that's when they're making dinner reservations.
Was that too early for you?
No, it's too late. So like, in suburbia, and when you have kids, you eat dinner at 4 or 4:30. Because from 5 on, the kids got to be places. There's soccer.
I'll tell you right now. All right.
There's cross country. Pick them up from sports.
If someone had suggested to my father, I know you guys should totally eat dinner at like 4:30. His response would have been, "Sure, I'll get off work at 6 and eat dinner at 4:30. Fuck you."
Well, yeah. So so many people eat dinner around here, and a lot of people work from home, right? And because the kids, that's when you take the kids places and pick them up from. I mean, you'd be surprised at how many kids get dropped off and picked up at school around here, right? They don't ride the buses.
Goonies got it right. You have a snack, and then you take the kids places, and then you eat dinner.
Yeah, no.
And you eat dinner at like 8:30.
Let me rephrase this for you. You eat dinner when your wife makes it and tells you you're eating dinner.
That is fair. That is absolutely fair. I cannot
whoa. I actually have a thing of like, the wife makes dinner?
Yes.
I like to cook. I'll enjoy making dinner, but I'll make dinner when I'm done with.
So the lesson here is not, oh, the wife cooks. No, the lesson here is you eat when the cook says you fucking eat.
That is right. By the way, the wife is capitalized here for anybody who thinks I'm being kind of mean to the wife. This began in let's see, sophomore year of high school.
I'm absolutely positive that she is in charge in that household.
Oh, for sure.
Certain things we share.
Like when it comes to cooking, yeah, you eat when I'm done making the food.
Now that doesn't mean that she likes to be the one cooking. She's the one who ends her work earlier. In my job, I work later, right? So normally I will actually be on a meeting, and dinner will. By the way, dinner will just fall in front of me, right?
Eric, you only have like 3 jobs, so what a surprise!
Just two.
Just 2 jobs.
Just 2. But even if it was just the one, I would, I get a lot of surprise meetings, 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30, because a lot of the folks we deal with are on the West Coast too, right? So things happen, and I like to start early, so But yes, I have a wonderful wife, and for anybody who thinks the wife is like a bad thing, no, that's actually a good thing. My computer programming teacher at my sophomore year in high school, he always referred to his wife as the wife. Okay, and a lot of us do it that had him as a teacher in high school. It's kind of funny because our senior year for prom, him and his wife chaperoned, and we realized why he called her the wife. Okay, she was
like
way number one. He's short and she's tall, and she was way too gorgeous for him, right? And so he was always very respectful of his wife. He called her the wife because she was the number one wife. So that's kind of
as Arenda says, the wife is in charge.
The wife. Hey, when you're married, there are things that you do.
Like the Batman. I mean,
I do it, like I said many times, I do have an awesome wife because she lets me kind of do whatever I want. Like if I wanted to go out and drink every Friday with the boys, I'm allowed, but I don't because it's not my thing. But, when I golf.
You just go golfing every Saturday when you can.
Yeah, well, not Saturdays, but actually we're going out.
Golfing a Sunday thing.
Yeah, it's a Sunday morning thing. We're the Sunday sinners. So 6:30. I mean, 6:30 in the morning, man. I'm in the shower getting ready. So I wake her up early and I'm out. We tee off. First tee off is 7:30, and you want to be on the driving range for an hour or so before you tee off.
How do you deal with golfing that early and also having a few drinks while you golf? That seems a little bit irresponsible.
Okay. So
he deals with it by having a few drinks.
Well, funny you should say that because there are a couple times during the year where there might be a bottle left on because we all go off the first tee, one right after the other, right? So the last group picks up the bottle. There may be a bottle occasionally where you all got to do shots before you tee off.
Well, yeah, this is my point.
Yeah, little cart girl brings drinks all day long.
A couple of bits of drink while you're golfing.
Yeah.
Why would you tee off quite so early? You would.
You act like you can't. You can't drink at 7:30.
You in Britain, you'd want to tee off at like 10:30 or so, just to make the drinks feel a little bit reasonable. I mean, if you're teeing off at 7:30 and drinking at the same time, it feels like you're kind of carrying on the night before rather than starting off a new day, and it's a bit weird.
Some of that happens too. But you have to understand, you come there with your coffee, and by the way, there's free coffee and muffins and everything.
You're doing Irish coffees, okay?
Right? You can do that too, but no, we just drink regular coffees. So between 7:30 and 8, if you're the first tee time, usually your first 30 minutes, your first 3 holes, you don't see a cart girl, but you kind of see her after that. So she drives a giant cart up and, you start drinking some transfusions or whatever you want, Bloody Marys, whatever. I mean, you just start drinking 8 o'clock.
I got to interrupt here for a second. What did you call that, Dirk?
What did I call what?
The way Eric described his coffee.
An Irish coffee.
That would be whiskey in my coffee. And no, people don't drink whiskey. You just have your first coffee, okay? And then you start drinking, screwdrivers, frickin' Bloody Mary, whatever you want.
That's racist. Just
because the Irish don't make good drinks doesn't mean they don't know how to drink.
I'm pretty sure coming from an Englishman, that's racist.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm sorry, but Scotch is better than Irish.
I'm just gonna say, if you sit there and say the Erik coffee. Okay, I'm not offended.
Yeah, also, Horrendous, you're pretty quiet. You need to, get closer to your microphone.
All right, then I will more loudly call you a racist.
Let's put it this way. Any race...
Thank you very much.
Any race who thinks a drink named after them is racist is just freaking crazy, because that's like a celebration of your race. Okay?
Okay, but Eric, you are clearly missing the point here. The point is to give the Englishman shit.
I understand that. I do. Truly, I do.
Okay, then. I don't have to actually think he's racist.
No,
I just have to give him shit.
There we go.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Oh my God, can we hear you? Are you done with the dolphin show?
Yeah, we can hear you, and funnily enough,
that's right, folks.
Basically done with our 20 minutes.
Dolphin show.
Yeah, I'm at the zoo right
They've
now.
gotten more exotic than the donkey shows.
Ooh, the donkey show. That's scary.
Oh God.
Okay, hey, I have to ask, since you were at a dolphin show and dolphin shows were in the news this week, did any dolphin eat his trainer?
No.
Okay, that's sad.
They have a 2-year-old dolphin that got rescued, and it's super small and cute. And we're at the zoo right now with my nephew, so we're just walking around, and he's just like loving it. My mom has like a membership, so she can take him all the time on like weekdays when it's just them two.
You know, I remember at SeaWorld when they used to have like the killer whales. They'd pick the cute girl in the audience, and the killer whale would come up and kiss her. I always said, it'd be really cool if it just bit her head off. That would be. But I was 9, so
that would be an
It'd be
experience.
like a fucking Richard Harris movie. All right.
Yeah.
Whoops, sorry. He was just trying to lick her.
I've been to SeaWorld once, and the rides are actually fun. It's pretty good.
I haven't been to SeaWorld since they closed it in Sandusky, Ohio. By the way,
SeaWorld Sandusky. That just feels so wrong.
But it was true. And by the way,
that's where Cedar Point is.
By the way, I remember 2 things from that last time at SeaWorld, okay? One, I puked in the bleachers during the Shamu show. And 2, my parents thought that, since I was young, I was like 5 or 6, okay? Okay, that since I was young, I would really dig the live Leif Erikson rock show over in the pavilion area. I was like, who the hell is Leif Erikson? Didn't he?
I don't know, but
didn't he
how the hell
discover
was
some?
Like,
he was a singer.
Leif Erikson was doing a live show.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, he's a rock star. Wasn't he like an explorer, Viking guy that discovered some shit? How is he here now? I don't know, man. It was a bizarre day. But
all right, well, it's
after the puking. I was like, can we go home?
You know, Dawn waited until after 20 minutes to show up.
No, I've been here the whole time. I was eating lunch.
Hey, so yeah, so you've eaten lunch. What'd you have for lunch? I mean, we have to share.
A crispy chicken sandwich and fries.
Was it any good?
No gravy?
Yeah, it was okay.
Did it have chicken gravy on it?
No, I had barbecue with it.
Did it have chicken sauce on it?
Yeah.
No, barbecue sauce.
Oh, was it chunky?
It's a thicker barbecue, but it's not chunky.
Okay. We got to clarify this stuff for Dirk so he doesn't get offended. We got to classify everything appropriately, apparently.
He's pretentious. He just thinks he knows things. It's fine. Anyways, Eve has had things happen this week.
Oh my God.
Time.
Of course, because they're scared shitless.
Really had things happen.
They're scared shitless because nobody's signing up to go to frickin' Eve.
Eve on Iceland, yeah. FanFest. Yeah. FanFest is the word you're looking for there, Eric.
Eve Iceland.
Eve on Iceland. Okay.
Yeah.
Eve on Ice, where they do like spaceship dancing.
I don't go anywhere they don't have
on ice.
I don't go anywhere they don't have like scones and sausage gravy or where the fuck they are.
Oh, by the way, if anyone's wondering, they do serve beer here at this particular zoo.
Okay. Why wouldn't they?
I don't know. Just it's mostly a children's place, so seeing drunk adults running around would be weird.
Yeah, we don't sell beer at our zoo.
Are you kidding, Dawn? It's a children's place. How the hell else are the adults supposed to deal with all those kids?
Hey,
I know.
I'm just going to tell you, horrendous. Country club youth sports are the best because, you go to like swim team meets and they're like freaking beer and hard liquor everywhere for the adults. That's youth sports, baby. I'm just telling
you. That sounds like basically high school sports here.
No, we can't have alcohol at high school sports here. How do
you don't tell them you're bringing alcohol.
Yeah, you bring a water bottle full of vodka or rum.
And, whatever your parents bring.
Yeah, or you just mix it ahead of time and put it in
a
recyclable bottle.
You got to remember, Eric was not a big drinker in the high school era.
Eric only became a big drinker when he had kids.
No, even still, not huge. I mean, I drink, I mean, and Dirk, by the way, you drink pretty much from 8 o'clock, and then when you're done in the morning, you have a little lunch and a whole bunch of beer and hang out in the clubhouse with your buddies. Okay? That's why you go early. And then you can go home and you go to sleep in the afternoon. It's awesome.
Okay, I kind of get that. I can see that.
Don't really go to sleep. You do other stuff.
Well, you do other stuff because you have about 4 jobs, but
5, 6, whatever.
No, he does other stuff because he has enough energy because his gravy has chunks.
That's right. We have chunky gravy here, baby. Gives you the protein to get through the day. That's why we beat you.
That's what a full English breakfast is for.
That's why we beat you in the Revolutionary War. We had chunky fucking gravy. I'm just saying.
You know, and the French.
Okay. That's a thing, apparently.
Chunky gravy?
Chunky gravy and the French fleet.
Hold on, Rennis. We're gonna have chunky gravy with biscuits
Chunky French gravy
and apple cider.
Oh yeah, apple cider. That's some good stuff.
The real cider, not whatever you're talking about there. Anyways, we're just gonna have a plethora of food that it's gonna confuse him.
So you're talking about non-alcoholic cider.
Correct.
That's right. Yeah, mull that stuff, man, too.
Yeah, we're just gonna talk about for like a real second how over in any civilized country, i.e. basically everywhere in Europe, cider is alcoholic. And anything else is called apple juice because that's what it fucking is.
No, it's not. Anyways.
Yeah. Sorry.
I love that we have these long-term running jokes that if you were new to the show, they'd be like, A, why are they talking about food so much? I thought this was an Eve show. And B, why do they keep making fun of the British guy about all this weird food?
Because we love him.
I know.
Because why wouldn't we?
Yeah, so
all right.
we have a ton of fun.
Let's suck Eve.
Hell, you should see us when our Dane is here.
Yeah, our Dane is like fantastic for running jokes.
He's broken.
He's like a professional victim.
Dawn here has mentioned for new viewers that we do these things. She hasn't mentioned why we do these things. We call it the Dawn rule. We cannot talk about Eve for at least 20 minutes in the front half of the show. Because we get to catch up with each other in the front half of the show, and you get to catch up with what we're doing. And then after the front half of the show, when we've annoyed Dawn sufficiently, then we get to have fun talking about Eve shit and, whatever has gone on this week. Which is a really great segue to Horrendous. What has gone on this week?
What has gone on this week? CCP has said fuck you to everybody smaller than, say, Pandemic Horde.
How big is
I agree.
How big is Pandemic Horde?
Oh, just a couple thousand,
Okay.
Like
15,000
want to be clear.
Characters?
Okay.
Is it more than 15,000 characters now?
Yeah, I think they're actually like right behind us.
I mean, we're only hovering around like 30 to 32k. So
that's because they just implemented the test sig for them, so that added a couple extra members. Test is an alliance. It's not an alliance anymore. It's sig.
Test is a sig.
So yeah, Pandemic Horde. We're at 33,251 members. Pandemic Horde is at 30,308 members.
There you go.
But yeah, so it's not really anybody smaller than Horde. But yeah, if you've got less than like 15,000 members, or you're not in a coalition that can put together enough of a force to actually fight groups like PanFam, don't have a medium structure. If you're in low sec and you can't successfully beat the shit out of Snuff whenever you want to, don't have a medium structure.
I feel like this is gonna make moon mining impossible.
It's gonna make moon mining interesting. And if Brisk is here, he's gonna get annoyed because he doesn't like the fact that I really despise these changes.
What's really interesting that horrendous is that you said that if you can't contest anybody of like snuff size, that's
In low-sec, yeah.
specifically dealing with low-sec. But you said that if you can't deal with a group that's kind of snuff size, you shouldn't have medium structures.
No, you won't have medium structures.
Okay, I agree with you that they won't have medium structures, but why won't they have medium structures? What have CCP done this week? And what realistically is the major issue?
So, what they've done this week has two parts. They've changed the way They've changed the way shields work on structures, in that shields no longer have a damage cap.
Across just medium structures, or
No, all of them. All
structures?
shields don't have a damage cap. Medium structures will be getting a plus 100% bonus to the amount of shields they have. Everything larger will be getting 25%. But that's really not going to help you much because you can still one cycle it with dreads. Right now, if you drop a dread on an Astra House, it will take you 2 cycles with a single dread. If you drop 2 dreads, it will still take you 2 cycles because the damage cap means that your minimum time is basically 6 minutes. This means that even with the 100% increase in hit points, an Astra, you put 5 dreads on it, it 1 cycles, and you're out.
And when you say 1 cycle, we're talking about the 5-minute.
We're talking about a 5-minute siege cycle, yes.
Yeah.
There are other tools that you could bring if you bring them in sufficient numbers that you could conceivably one-shot it.
Are we talking about like bombers on an Astra Hoos, or
No. Bombers wouldn't. I mean, enough bombers, yes, but you're not going to get that many bombers. I'm just going to leave it at there are other tools, because
How fast will a shack do it?
What? A single Lashak? A single Lashak will take a while just because it has to spool up.
Let's say there's 2.
I don't know. I'd have to run the numbers on that.
Still have to spool up.
Yeah, it'd still have to spool up. Let's see. Lashak.
Or as we say south of the Mason-Dixon line, the Lee Shack.
Or as we say over here in Fitting Land, fucking Pyfa, stop crashing.
The entire point here being that CCP have made a chunk of changes recently that will end up seeing structures because
if you can bring,
it wasn't just the shield timer, right?
No, it wasn't. This is just the first change. If you can bring a decent number of people, you can reinforce the shields before the defenders really have a chance to get formed up and react. So okay, take the shields off the table because there's no window for it. You can hit them at any time, so you can come in on somebody's off time zone when you know they're not there with a lot of guys.
Just to bring the bomber point back to drive it home for our audience before we get into the other changes. Our analysis had 30 bombers reinforcing the shield timer on an Astra Hoos in 60 seconds, 90 seconds, somewhere in that region.
I think those initial numbers may have been off a bit, but yeah, it doesn't take them a long time.
So even with just stealth bombers, initially reinforcing an Astra Hoos is a far cry from the 24 minutes that it previously took.
Right.
And what else have CCP changed to really help along structure mechanics?
When you get to the armor timer, instead of going through the armor, you will have to go through the armor and 25% of the current hull. And then it will blow up because it doesn't get another timer and it's just lost 75% of its hull.
So for medium structures, what you're saying...
For medium structures...
They get 2 times... They get one reinforcement.
They get 1 reinforcement timer, yeah. So, if you're a group that might think about defending your Astra Hoos on the armor timer and not on the hull timer because, you don't want to get caught without tether where your fleet is totally at the mercy of these guys who obviously have brought more firepower. Because otherwise you would have won the timer. You're not going to defend your medium structures at all. There's
They're not
no
going to defend them
calculus.
at all.
There's no calculus here that says you are more likely to get a fight with these changes.
Okay,
Because
so
there's less reason to fight on the armor timer and less opportunity to fight on the shield timer.
the
There's just
next
no way this
question.
creates more combat.
The next question becomes: how does this differ from a low power medium structure, Arendis?
It doesn't stop any jobs being done. You can still tether during all of this, so you don't have to worry about it being being abandoned or anything like that. But the big thing is really that the jobs don't stop. That's it.
So you can continue building as long as your build's complete before people shoot your structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long will that take?
Well, the reinforced times are actually the same as they are now. So in nullsec, the timer will be, it will come out at the first available designated defense window, like, you know, when you set your timer window, at the first designated available defense window after 3.5 days.
So
this was somewhat
roughly on average 4 days.
Thereabouts, yeah. But this was somewhat confusingly put in the actual dev blog, where it just said 3.5 days plus minus 3 hours, because they've still got the plus minus 3 hours variance on all of this. So it looked like, according to the dev blog, it would always be 12 hours away from where you hit it the first time. And that's not the way they intended it. CCP Aurora, much to her credit, clarified this in her posting. I don't know if they've clarified the dev blog. I haven't checked. But I don't know. I also don't know if she's the one who actually posted the dev blog, so she might not be able to update that. Again, don't know. But she also clarified the issue about, since this is the only reinforcement timer it gets, what happens to jobs. She's been doing very good on this, but I just think these changes are ridiculous.
Okay, I have to jump in after Arendis is finished, and I know, Eric, you've been trying to make comments. Yeah. But here's a general question to the panel, which, interestingly enough, does not include Brisk Rubal, who has the ability to just jump in whenever he likes. But Brisk Rubal asks us, do ADMs matter for these structures and these citadels?
I didn't see anything that would say ADMs matter any more or less than they already do.
Which is not at all.
Right.
Although, actually, I should be very clear. I should be very clear. Brisk asks, do ADMs matter? Period. That's his question. Do ADMs matter? Is there a benefit to ADMs in the current situation of EVE? That's a good question.
Well, you can't. You need them to not put.
You need ADMs for iHub upgrades.
You need them to build super capitals. You need them to run jump bridges and jump beacons and cynojammers and ADMs.
And the gazelles and the chipmunks and the little squirrels.
Sorry. On that point, I think ADMs do still matter. They matter in terms of the game mechanics. But for structures, for these changes, do ADMs have any impact?
I don't
know.
If Brisk knows of any impact that they have, I'd be
maybe it's a future implement he didn't realize hadn't come out yet.
I also think that there is definitely room for tweaking to ADMs. One of the ideas that I have recently stumbled onto is that, if you don't actually own the iHub in the system, then anything you do only contributes fractionally to the ADM.
to, like, if, for example, you had a vast fucking rental empire, those renters would maybe only give like a 1% bump to the ADM.
So Brisk asks a further question, which is, why not have the ADMs increase the time? He says that he's trying to think about small nullsec groups and their complaints, and I have a very particular response to that question before we even go to everyone else.
I've got a really simple response.
Why don't we ask the developers?
No, I've got an even simpler response to that one. There's more to the game than nullsec. How does ADMs factoring in help anybody in low-sec or high-sec? How does it help anybody in wormhole space?
How does it help the high-sec players?
Right. I mean, how does it help anybody who owns a structure make their structure worth owning other than nullsec?
Their medium structure.
Their medium structure. I mean, we're already back to 13 dreads, one cycle of Fortizar, but, that was always the way with pauses anyway.
It's a Fortizar.
Right.
Like, the situation about large structures, the Fortizars, the Asbels, the Tataras, those are
more defensive.
that people consider an investment, right?
Right.
Astrahuses, Rotarus, they're considered like good for what they do, but
by
they're
who?
a little bit of they're a little bit of a throwaway.
By who?
They're necessary for small groups in high-sec at least to get started.
I mean, that's the issue. That's the issue here is that,
they're considered worthwhile for the people who can't afford the large structures.
Right. If you can't afford a large structure, apparently the message is get the hell out of the structure game.
And I mean, it's really interesting for us as a bunch of goons who play the game on a
So
if it's not a Fortizar, then what the fuck are we talking about? Kind of level.
So question on
these
this.
These are topics that smaller groups really have to agonize over sometimes.
So I'm going to make two little things, right? Because I've been in little groups and I've done my own little 3-man thing and doing reactions and pauses and low second things. And it was really kind of cool when you got your first pause up in low sec and you were mining moons and doing your reactions and doing that interaction, sometimes getting blown up and all that stuff, right? Lots of fun. And then the other, so you kind of take that out of play, right? For small groups and organizations, good, bad, maybe, I don't know. But when you think of rental empires, does this just make it easy to deploy a SIG and just ravage a rental empire area?
Depends how many dreadnoughts the SIG has, I guess. That kind of feels like the question, or the answer.
Yeah,
how many dreadnoughts do they have? And how quickly can they reinforce the structures?
Yeah, and the other thing is, again, we don't like rental empires, and I think they're terrible for the game. But and CCP's goal has always been, for many years now, how do we, let's say the four of us were a little group, and we just wanted one solar system, right? And how do we enable that and let that happen, right? I'm going to tell you, being goons, it kind of feels like you can get there, right? Just being a little group within goons, you can kind of find your nook in your place within the goon empire and kind of do your thing, and that's always been really cool.
I'm actually going to dispute you on that one, Eric.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't think that's been CCP's goal for a number of years now.
I
think that for a number of years that was CCP's goal,
Okay.
That's why we saw Aegisov come in, where the express mechanics, the reason they were built the way they were was to shrink footprints, to give groups reasons
Right.
to concentrate and take up less space. That's why the jump fatigue mechanics went in, to basically try and constrain power projection. But then we had the dynamic bounty system, which had the express purpose of getting people to move around and take up more space.
Well, do we think that was the express reason for it?
It was said.
Okay, I
It was
missed that.
stated. Yeah.
I missed
That's
that.
why
Sorry.
it did. If they just wanted to reduce bounty payments, you know what would have been easier?
Yeah.
Reducing bounty payments.
There you go.
Reduce the amount every
Right.
rat is worth, and you
Right.
reduce the bounty output.
That would have fit right in with the twist some knobs and tweak some numbers approach that CCP is really, really wedded to. But no, they came up with this whole new system. And the reason they gave was they wanted to get people moving around more. If people are moving around more, that means they need more space to move around in. So yeah,
I don't think
I don't think they've had a coherent goal of let's try and keep space open for little guys. I think their goal has been let's throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
you may be
I
right.
agree.
You may be right there. We've kind of insinuated that for a long time, but yeah.
I mean, Eric, you talk about we've insinuated it. Let's talk about it very clearly. At what point have any of these changes encouraged people to log in more? At what point?
Do we want to open that can of worms? There's no reason. The only reason
we've only got 4 people here on the panel. It's not as if this is going to be a crazy discussion.
Yeah.
Why the hell does CCP think that their changes will make more people log in, make more people engage with the game? What the hell's going on over there?
Okay, I never thought I'd say this, but I really wish we had just Dominion solved back and we can beat the shit out of each other, but okay.
Oh, so
I think there are some parts of Aegis that are really good.
Okay.
I think that there are some parts of what we've gotten since then that are really bad. I think there are some parts of Aegis itself that are really bad, like Entosising. Entosising is terrible. Don't give me a freaking Jesus laser and just have me orbit the button with it locked up. That is just so terrible. No,
it's really boring.
Do you know tomorrow the Jesus laser comes back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care. We've covered this already. Gave it up for Lent, remember?
I know. That was awesome. By the way, those didn't hear, Rennis gave up Catholicism for Lent. So
many years ago. I'm not trying to say that I did that this year. That would be a lie, and that would be a sin. And if I was still Catholic, I'd worry about that.
So, by the way, it doesn't matter what religion you are. Where I live, it's like even outside of Lent, fish on Friday's a thing.
It's food. Just have the fucking food.
Fish on Friday is a thing. Everybody will have a fish sandwich special on Friday around here. Almost every place. And people will go and get it specifically, even outside of Lent where I live. And when I moved to Kansas City for a brief period and met my wife there wasn't any place you could get a good fish sandwich on Friday. Now, granted, it was Kansas City, Kansas, in the middle of the freaking country. They're like, we have beef. We go get
to
steak.
The mountains of Pittsburgh.
Well, I didn't some famous author say it's like
Pittsburgh may have rivers, 3 of them, I think, but you are not exactly,
We are the confluence of the Ohio River.
God.
It's very easy to get fresh seafood here. Super easy. It's like a big thing. Seafood's always been a big thing here. It's easier for me to get fresh seafood here than when I vacation at the ocean.
Is it seafood or is it river food?
No, actual seafood. We don't. Yeah, not a lot. I mean, you might. You'll have some places that will have fish and like perch and walleye. You can get that here, but no. It's very easy. Very easy.
Just in terms of the general context, yes, we have like dealt with the Dawn rule today for anybody
Yeah,
who's
we
just tuning
did,
in.
but somehow we brought it back. I don't know
We're
why.
still back on
Yeah, Eric got
fish
back
talk.
onto food
Yeah.
through fish.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if
And
you're Catholic
this is
where I live.
possibly-
Doesn't matter if
this
you're
is
Catholic,
th-
Protestant, Methodist, Episcopalian, Jewish, whatever. Fish on Friday here where I live. Okay, it's the way it is.
this is possibly just
By the way, we had it last Friday too. We went over special to get it.
this is what we see when Eve has no
Direction.
real draw.
No direction. Eve.
Do we
CCP
want to be
is-
logging in, guys?
Yes. We want to be killing people. Yes.
Are we logging in?
No.
Sometimes, I mean,
Yeah, on occasion. When we need to.
I've logged into. I'm helping run a major tournament, but I've
there's
logged
dev
into
shit going on,
Singularity more than I've logged into Tranquility this year.
Well, there's Jeff shit going on, so I've been doing Logi again. So
I've logged into Singularity more than I've logged into Tranquility this year. That's a statement, at the very least.
Well, it's something.
but yeah, I don't see how these changes in any way promote more fighting.
You need something in your territory that other people want or want to disrupt you getting.
Well,
Right?
it's not even that. If they have a reason to attack you, they still have a reason to attack you. If you have a reason to defend, you now have less reason to defend. That means there is less impetus for conflict. And, I know that there's a whole bunch of FCs who signed this letter on Reddit that basically said, oh my God, you have to make all the citadels less AIDSy to attack. But, maybe we should be asking, hey, listen, when FCs just say, yeah, make my structure bash easier for me, are they really unbiased about this?
Well, when you think about it, I mean,
Whoa.
one of the reasons to make structures a little less AIDSy to attack might have been that 18-month war.
There's a flip side to that as well, which is
It took them 18 months to destroy our structures.
well, no, that wasn't. I wasn't even referencing the war then, Eric. But fair point. My flip side was okay. They want their structure bash to be less onerous. That's a fair point. Nobody likes spending effort to do a thing, especially when doing the thing has no value, right?
Right.
I mean, we used to fight over R16, R32, R64 moons, and the posers that mined those things.
Yeah.
There was an objective that was not just somebody is doing a thing in my space or what I conceive to be my space.
Or even
nowadays, an Astrahus can go down wherever the fuck it wants. It's not necessarily an objective, it's just a thing in space.
Yeah.
And so people who lay a claim to that space have to spend time just clearing space of shit that isn't valuable to anybody, really.
Yeah, I mean,
this is why we get into the structure spam conversation, right? Because it's so easy to drop an Astrahus anywhere you want. And that Astrahus just exists.
Structure spam is definitely an issue that has to be addressed, but
if you take one system and drop 6 Astrahuses, that's a ton of effort for people who lay claim to that space. And I'm not saying that people should be able to lay claim to space without owning it and without putting effort into it. But 6 Astrahuses is a lot of just random bullshit that gives no benefit to anybody.
That gives benefit to the defenders.
doesn't give any benefit to the vendors. It gives
Sure.
obstacles to the
Well, I
defenders.
mean, it definitely
Obstacle
used
to the attackers.
it used to give more benefit to the defenders.
Yeah.
But there was a reason to drop, like, if you can't afford to drop a bunch of Fortizars, there was a reason to drop a bunch of medium Citadels. But now you can have multiple clones in a Citadel, so
Yeah, and then if we go back to the pause situation, and Dominion Solve, hey, you drop a pause on every moon in every system that you laid claim to,
right,
because
as a defensive measure at the very least.
hey, you needed to own a majority of moons to
Well, no, that was Tower
own
Solve.
the system.
That was Tower Solve. That was
Yeah, that was right before
Oh,
Dominion.
yeah, I'm potentially
Yeah,
confusing them. Either way, having pauses on every moon was a net benefit rather than just
absolutely
a cost.
True.
So
It
yeah,
was a cost that
if
you
had
didn't
100
have to compete with.
If you had a system with 100 moons, you wanted to have 100 towers up. You didn't necessarily want to have them fueled, but you wanted them there so somebody else couldn't put a tower there.
Yep.
And so yeah, the play counterplay. The fuck is going on? It's a huge issue in terms of the counterplays that are available, not in terms of the mechanics themselves, but in terms of the counterplays that are available for structure mechanics and the way structures work. Yeah, it's a huge issue right now, and CCP don't seem to be interested in solving the problems. They seem to be interested in introducing different problems.
So,
and we have just been joined by Brisk Rubal. So,
hey, Brisk.
Hi, Brisk.
I'm going to say this just at the start to make it clear. First of all, I've been on the rag all week, so don't get upset if I get really mad at you people. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. You've been mad at me all week too.
He said you people.
We're
is he allowed to say that?
Ourselves.
Is he allowed to say that on this show?
No.
Also, hold up. Just real quick here, just in the spirit of Brisk's statement, I want to make it clear I'm a pedantic asshole and will often slip into pedantry without even intending to. So sorry, Brisk. I know I've done it to you.
I will point it out whenever I see it.
All right. So what's up, Brisk?
You point it out, that's great. That's exactly what I want you to do. Thank you.
Legitimately, we're all annoyed at ourselves as well, so don't worry about it. Please just give us your unbridled opinion.
For the first time in like a year, we've had multiple pieces of good news in the same week. And I turn on your show and you're still bitching.
We're not allowed to be happy.
Could you just be happy? Like, just be like, hey, guess what? They fucking fixed some shit.
What?
I was gonna ask what good news.
I guess I'll
what do you mean, what
explain.
good news? They just cut everything's build costs in half after we were bitching at them for a year and a half that everything was
and
too
it still
expensive.
requires items that are so hard to get.
So what? It's half the price.
Yes,
but
I don't care. It's half the price.
First off, hold it, Brisk.
First,
We
it's
hadn't gotten
about
to those
getting the
changes
stuff.
yet. We hadn't gotten to
Yeah, we're not in those changes yet.
Yeah, we're not.
those are a good change. I will totally agree with you
Yeah.
there. I would totally agree with you there. That is a great change. I wish they'd go further, but it's better than not doing it. So yeah, that's good.
Hmm?
Good on them.
We can get rid of space trash faster. That's a good thing.
No, it's
don't know
not.
why. Guys are so desperate to do this for the children argument.
We
for the
still
17
have to
groups
put in
in
the
LoSec
effort
with
to
6
kill
people
the
in them.
things.
Yes, well, we're still going to do it, but it's going to be easier.
Hold up. Whoa. Hold up. 17 groups, Brisk? Really?
How many groups do you think are out there in the lowest and in the least populated area of space, which is LoSec?
Well, first off, let's just keep in mind that when we're talking about groups at our scale, we're talking about, let's see.
I'm not talking about groups at our scale. I'm not talking about groups at our scale. You love to change the hypo. Answer my question. How many LoSec groups do you think are out there that have like less than 100 people in it? 100 actual people.
Whoa, now you're changing it.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about LoSec. I'm trying to pin down numbers.
Gone to less than 100 people.
What? All right. So what do you define as small?
If you're looking at like, say, 300 to 400 characters, because we can't know how many people are in it. then you're basically talking about, let's see, out of 32 pages of alliances in Dotlan, you're talking about starting on page 3, sorting by members. There are,
Okay.
in the whole game, only, I'm sorry, it starts on page 2. There are only 199 alliances with more than 400 members.
Okay.
In the whole game.
That's great. And in those 199 that have more than 400 members probably constitute 80% of the players. Because you're not counting the NPC corps, right?
I'm not counting the NPC corps. So what makes you say that constitutes?
So 1.5
of the players?
1.5.
How do you get that metric?
Because the numbers are huge. If you take the top 199, it's 100,000 plus characters, right? It should be close to like 200, right?
Not really.
Okay.
It's going
Somebody
to
want to do the
out
math then?
like
Yeah, hang on a second. I'll start
60,000 if I had to make a bet.
Doing the math.
That's why analytics matter. By the way, I'm not unhappy. I'm just asking questions.
Listen, I know you're asking questions. Okay. I have spent the last couple days talking to these low-sec guys and the NPC null guys and whoever else and the wormholers.
You've been having fun in the new Discord.
The wormholers,
right?
I think, have a legitimate gripe. The high-sec guys, I don't want to listen to because they've already got it too good. The low-sec guys, they may have an argument. But I'm still not convinced that all the things that they're saying are going to happen. Because I don't see a lot of that shit happening now. They claim that's happening now. Okay, I can't argue with them because I'm not physically there. But again, I don't see the difference between having one armor timer that has hull on it, where you're still going to have to extract at the end, or having a hull timer where you have to extract at the end. And they're basically trying to argue that like there's this huge gameplay on armor timers.
There is actually a major gameplay difference.
You don't see the difference between a timer where you can tether or dock up, and a timer where you can't.
I am saying that for the decision-making process,
you don't see a difference in the decision-making process between a timer where when the fight is over, either I win or my fleet is going to get slaughtered, and a fight.
Why is the fleet going to get slaughtered?
Because they're on the structure.
So already. What? Why do they have to be on the structure? Why didn't they start extracting when they realized they couldn't stop it? They get to decide when to disengage. They get to decide when to leave.
They did. That's why they don't.
And then they can figure out where they're going to jump. Listen, you guys are acting like this is a fucking Keepstar fight where the fleet will get obliterated if it doesn't have a place to tether at the end of the fight, and that's not been my experience.
It's not assuming the assumption.
Guys,
that hasn't been your experience.
Yeah, I don't think it's been theirs either, because obviously it's not something in the game, because these guys aren't defending on hull timers.
Why don't you ask the CSM member from LowSec?
You are making a huge assumption based upon your own experience, and not based upon the fact that...
I'm not making a huge assumption based on my own experience. I am telling you what my experience was. Now, if you're arguing that there are all kinds of situations where these guys are getting their fleets destroyed on a hull timer because they stuck around to fight and then they lost and didn't have anywhere to tether.
Whoa.
Then I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
What we're saying is that the conflation of an armor and hull timer,
it's not a conflation, Dirk. Stop it. Bullshit. Don't stay. No, there's no conflation.
It is what's happening.
It's not.
They are conflating the armor and hull timer into a single reinforcement mode.
Do you know what the word conflate means?
They will lose their structure on the armor timer because
it's going to die. That's fine. What's the difference?
Previously, they would not have lost their structure on the armor timer, Briss.
No, they lose it on the hull timer. So the difference is we treat this like it's a hull timer, not like it's an armor timer.
Right, exactly.
So why should they fight on the armor timer?
Why the fuck would they not fight? Because they don't want their structure to die?
Except if they don't think they're going to be able to save the structure. Why should they fight?
Why do they think they're going to be able to save the structure at all? If the other group is bigger than them, or the same.
Previously,
Dark, shut the fuck up.
Previously, people thought that they would be able to save
one person at a time. One person.
The same condition tree, the same decision tree exists in both situations. They're not going to take a fight they don't think they can win. Okay? So regardless of whether they have tether or not, they're not going to take a fight they don't think they can win. If they think they can win the armor timer, then they'll take it. If they think they can win the whole timer, they'll take it. If they don't think they can, either of them, then they'll let the thing die. Nothing is going to change. It's the same fucking thing.
We already show up for armor timers that we're not sure we can win.
Previously, you would take a roll of the dice on an armor timer because, you know what, it's a roll of the dice. And if you're gonna lose and you see you're gonna lose, you get to tether up. You don't get to tether up when you have an armor and hull timer combined and the structure's gonna die. And
so listen,
on top of
you
that,
don't have you have tether. Oh, for fuck's sake, Dirk, will you talk faster?
On top of that, you have the shield being just whatever the fuck. You can reinforce a shield timer in 3 fucking minutes.
Great, who gives a shit?
Currently. So you have no option to contest the shield timer that they're reinforcing you for.
Nobody contests shield timers anyway.
You have the armor timer.
Hold it. Stop. Dirk, hang on a second. Brisk.
Whoa.
Nobody contests shield timers anyway. Didn't you just get pushed off of a shield timer?
Yeah.
Well, then I guess they contest it.
You were having fun on that shield timer, huh?
We had like 6 guys. We were fucking around. It wasn't anything special.
You were still contesting the timer.
So fine. So does that not destroy your fucking argument then?
No.
Oh, it only takes 3 minutes. Well, people still get pushed off shield timers. Dirk.
Yeah, people get pushed off shield timers because the shield timers take at least 24 minutes under the current paradigm.
Right. Lunatic with candy. Perfect example. There are no bubbles in low sec, so what's trapping you there? There is no reason why you cannot extract at the end of that fight, or before the fight, or when you still have tether, or whenever you want to get out. They go, they fight, it doesn't work out, they leave as it's dying. The fleet's not going to chase them because they got to kill the structure. Maybe a couple of them will try to chase. But it's not like they got bubbles, they don't have fucking dictors. So what's the issue? It's not going to change anything. And that's what I can't get these guys to understand. It's like...
It does change the entire mentality!
No, it doesn't. Why? Why would it change the entire mentality? You want to fight because you want to fight, or you don't want to fight?
It only reduces the chance of getting a fight. There is no increase in content. There is no increase in the chances of you getting anything meaningful.
Dirk, I want to apologize. You actually did use conflict correctly. I was incorrect.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're still talking really fucking slow, so speed it up.
I do the words right. Thanks, Brisk.
That's because Dirk insists on using the British version of every word under the sun, and it's just confusing.
And the British versions are slower, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the guys that are complaining seem to think that like things are going to change horribly awful, and my experience has been it's not like that. They will adapt to it. They will figure things out. They will either upship, or they will drop more of these, or they will find a way around it, or they'll bring more friends, or whatever. But it's not the end of the playstyle. And then suddenly, LowSec is not going to be devoid of people because of this change. It's already devoid of people.
Why? Why would they drop more of these?
Because the same reason you drop them now, because they're little roach motels. And you still have to kill them, and they're a pain in the ass.
You're assuming that they're roach motels.
They are roach motels.
For you.
They're not for some
everybody.
People.
I love this.
Like, some people drop an Astros because it's all they can afford, and it's all that their, like, fucking 30-man corporation is interested in defending and could potentially defend. I mean, like...
Then if they can't defend it, then why are they dropping it?
Because we're in a 30 fucking thousand man coalition.
Stop the shit. Stop right now, okay? I am so sick and fucking tired of being told that I can't possibly understand what it's like to be in a small group because I'm in a big group. I was in a small group. I've been in small groups. Yes, I can.
Guys, time out.
I've never been killed, but I understand it sucks.
Hey,
I mean, come on.
There's something to be said for not being able to do something as a 30-man. You can't do everything in the game as a 30-man group, right? Now, maybe
Right, but
you
we're not talking
could.
about doing everything in the game.
I know, but in this case, right, dropping a significant structure that you would like defended, right, that just forces you to a different. Well, it puts you in part of a gameplay that you should be in already, right? Forming those diplomatic ties with those entities that make you stronger than a 30-man group, which is essentially what the Imperium has done, right? So in a different way, and you need to develop those skills. I don't necessarily see a problem with this change, Brisk, right? I'm just really trying to ask questions and understand it and listen to the conversation. I really viewed it as a change because CCP was using it to combat some of the sprawl of these things, right? Perhaps.
Trying.
And it also kind of, and by the way, I did think it introduced interesting gameplay from a organization perspective, right? So if you had large swaths that perhaps you used as rental areas, right, and people were dropping these, if opposing organization can come in and constantly harass those areas much easier by destroying those structures, you might be less likely to rent, right? So I kind of saw it from that perspective, but I'm not sure that that's the right perspective to look at it. But those are just some of the things I thought about it from a gameplay. I wasn't necessarily looking at it as good or bad from my perspective, right? I didn't understand it yet, and I'm still not sure I understand it and fully
I'll be back.
get the change that it will inflict on the gameplay, right, and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's unlike some of the changes that CCP has done that just are radically stupid, like blackout and things like that. I see this as much different from CCP, right? I see it as something that you could look to develop and you could backtrack if it doesn't work, right? Look at the metrics, look at what goes on, look at what it does to the gameplay in the area, and you could assess that. I don't know what you think. I mean, about that perspective, Brisk, but that's where I think you got to take this one.
I am just really tired of all of the paper discussions because I have these paper discussions all the time, and then we get them in the game and it never looks like what the paper discussions look like.
Are we ready to talk about
And
the industry changes?
I find it hard to believe that suddenly, because we've mashed up two timers together and made shields easier to deal with, that suddenly whole swaths of the game are going to die because the only thing that was keeping those groups alive was a structure that's only been around for 6 years.
I think when you look at it, right, in Losec, and maybe I'm wrong, but you're having had structures there myself, right? You're just, by and large, those groups aren't going to defend those anyway, right?
That's my point.
They're just bugging out.
Like I feel like the reality is for these guys, if a big group or even a group that it has more, just generally more players than them, targets that structure and says it's going to die, then it's going to die. I mean, look, we have proven that no structure can survive if a group is willing to throw enough shit at it. So I don't see why we're sitting here trying to come up with creative ways to let small groups hold off bigger groups with a small structure. You're just not going to be able to do that.
Have we shown that though? Because we seem to have really bad luck trying to do that to, say, Losec.
I think if we can do it in NPC Delve, we could do it in Losec. We just haven't tried.
We have tried.
No, we have not tried.
Okay.
We have not said we're going to kill this thing come hell or high water and throw a trillion ISK at it. Have we? Not that I recall.
What? Well, like I said, what would be our motivation to do it?
This thing will die. Well, it doesn't matter what the motivation is. The point is, if a larger group decides this thing is going to die, and we are willing to spend whatever it takes to do it, there's almost nothing that the defenders can do to stop it. Period.
Yeah, and I guess my question would be, what would be wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying that's the meta. That's the reality. That's why I feel like we're trying to like try to. I mean, this whole thing seems to be.
If a large group is willing to do the whatever it takes, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that our actual experience with, and I'm just making I'm just bringing these guys into it because they're the ones that we've done this with. With Snuff has proven that that's not really the case. Like, we've gone after Snuff multiple times.
I know.
We have,
but I don't think we have ever said that. All right, we are taking Snuffed out. Period. This is now the goal of the group, and then made that our thing. I think we've had deployments and we've gone after them a couple times.
We cannot wipe them out completely.
I'm not arguing that we could. I don't think you can wipe out any group that has access to NPC stations, especially in low sec. Which is why, like, all these groups are freaking out. Like, I mean, I don't get it. You're unkillable. So you don't have an Astra House. Great. What do you need it for?
Well, what about their Athenors?
I mean, other than the clone issue, there's no other reason, nothing different for these guys. And I'm trying to get that clone thing fixed.
What about the Athenors in LowSec for the good moons that are out there? They're gonna just like pop, and you're not gonna put a 20 build Chitara. You're not gonna put a 20 build Chitara out there.
Correct. You'll use one of the free ports,
and you'll not get to mine anything. And mining already sucks a lot of dick.
Why are you mining in LowSec?
Because that's
mine, what the
where
fuck
some
are you doing in
moons are,
LowSec?
and that's also a ton.
There are ores that only show up in LowSec.
Yeah.
Then the people that can mine them are going to be the ones that can defend their Athenors.
So
Snuff. But the people who can defend their Athenors generally don't want to mine them.
Well, then that's a great idea for CCP to put a bunch of shit gate locked behind a region full of people that don't want to do the content, which frankly is what Phantomite said when it happened.
That's what they did. And that's why I don't care about...
So that's it.
And we got to deal with it.
Speaking of the industry changes...
So why should they compound it?
So this ties into the industry changes because you were like, oh, you should be happy that they reduced the cap stuff because the prices are going down. That's perfectly fine on its own, but it still does not address the fact that as a person who mains mining, I have nothing to do. Because most of the stuff I want to mine...
mainlines that shit.
Like, I mine on the weekends, and that's it. I have nothing else to do. Regular belts are terrible. They provide no money. Gas mining is a completely different skill set and mindset on how to do that. Low-sec mining is almost impossible to do because you need like a ton of coordination.
Is that not what I just said?
It's like, I want to go out in low-sec and do some mining, but it's really hard because there's always somebody either trying to kill you or there's too many rats spawning that you can't, like, stay in the site long enough to actually get any ore. Unless you have a group of people.
I agree.
That's why, like, these changes are like.
That's not what we're talking about.
Well, I want to talk about the industry changes. I don't care about the buildings anymore.
No, I'm talking. The building changes are the thing that happened. Why would we talk about shit that happened a year ago? You guys bitch about that every week. This is good stuff that happened this week.
She wants to talk about the stuff you wanted us to say CCP is doing a good job on from this week.
Yeah, and I'm arguing that it doesn't matter. Because just because you made it half as difficult, it's still difficult.
Okay, I will see you guys later. If I'm going to keep any of my sanity and not turn the meta show into a giant rant against people whining constantly about stupid shit, I have to go. So I will see you guys all later.
Are you going to say in the meta show? Oh, he left. Oh.
Thanks, Brisk. We really appreciate you telling us that we're whining about you.
Hey, we love Brisk. Don't be mean.
I love Brisk, but when he suggests that we're making arguments about stupid shit, when actually,
again,
everything that we're talking about is
that's just a conversation.
The shit that we're talking about.
No. That's just
we're plans too.
Hey, that. By the way, I'm not saying something negative about here. Okay, so please, everybody understand that, especially Brisk, right? That shows to everybody how hard it is to be a good CSM member.
It really does.
Brisk is trying to do a good job. And when they think they've done a good job and there's still some, negative fallout or whatever. By the way, I don't know whether some of these changes are good or bad from my perspective yet. My mind's not made up like you guys. But again, everybody should talk through these and bring them out. And it's okay to bring them out, right? But again, to anybody who says the CSM's just an easy job, right? And these guys just get to go to Iceland, do whatever, and they get the inside scoop on stuff. It's a hard job. Okay.
And it's not like they can make things.
By the way, and by the way, while it's easy for Brisk to come just jump on the show and everything, right? And by the way, I appreciate that he did and had that conversation. Tough job, guys, and everybody. You know, if anybody's mad at Brisk, not I think you guys are, right? But out there in the audience,
nobody
don't
here is
be
mad at Brisk.
Yeah, don't be. Does a damn good job, and you know, just because people differ in opinions doesn't mean it's a bad thing. We got lots of opinions in this game, but we will see how these things shake out. There are some things that I think it's very easy to say CCP is dumb, like selling freaking spaceships. And by the way, no, I don't believe Hilmar wrote his last little penmanship item, nor do I think that I believe any of it. But okay,
I believe every word that was in there.
Yeah, sure you do.
I do.
Okay.
Because every word that was in there amounts to nothing.
Exactly.
They said they're not. They said NFTs are not for Tranquility. Okay, NFTs were never going to be on Tranquility because CCP rigorously guards ownership of everything on Tranquility.
Right.
How do you feel about Serenity?
They said nothing about making NFTs in other systems about Tranquility.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, that's a thing. So I don't want anybody in the audience to think anybody here is mad at Brisk or anything, but I do think it shows the challenge of that position and job, and I think he does a hell of a job at it. So that's it we have on that matter.
Yeah, I think I want to say that we collectively on the show generally are supportive of the CSM.
Yep.
We love what they do. They really represent players every day of the week, and they aren't paid to do it. It's a tough thing to choose.
And by the way, I
go ahead and
I understand
be a representative.
I understand that reaction entirely because, by the way, I would have been Brisk much nicer than I would have been if I were being in his position and having had all those conversations with all those people just banging on him all week long. That's just, you know, again, in from a, yeah. And by the way, CCP gets the same way. So that's all I'm going to say. But thank you for popping on Brisk and having the conversation. Much appreciated, brother. All right. What else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about NFTs? Or what are we going to... Hey, how about the Dorsey NFT? What did that sell for? 2-point-something million, and it's worth like 14,000 now? Way to go, NFTs. Careful with your investment, folks. Jack Dorsey NFT. One of his tweets that they made an NFT. I don't even know what it was, but it sold for what, 2.6 million? I don't know. Anybody know? Originally?
I think the whole thing is that they bought it for X amount of crypto and they sold it for X amount of crypto.
Which means it, was worth nothing when it was bought and it was worth nothing when it was sold.
Yeah, the equivalent is that they bought it for the equivalent of like $2 million dollars in Bitcoin and then sold it for like...
Well, I think the current bid is 14,000.
If the current bid is 14,000, then they're selling it for 14,000 worth of, I don't know, Ethereum or whatever.
They bought it.
It's still really fucking weird on the crypto scale.
They bought it for a gallon of smoke in a mirror, and the current bid is a cup of smoke in a mirror.
Should I get my smoke machine out? A little fogger.
Should.
Anyway, your smoke machine
I would like to.
We should. Oh,
hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up a sec. I got to take off in a minute.
Right.
But before I go,
yes,
I would like to say this about a point that Brisk raised. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the top 199 alliances, there are 353,259 characters. We don't know how many actual players that is, and obviously people in large groups tend to have more alts on average than people in small groups. That said, by the time you get down to alliance number 2,200 and you're dealing with 7-man alliances, it has only increased by 139,698. So of the characters who are not, because again, we can't actually speculate on actual players with any authority. Of the characters who are not in NPC corps, Brisk is likely correct that the majority of them are in those 199 largest alliances. I just
There
wanted
you
to
go.
have that said.
Okay.
Because, the issue was raised and has anybody run the numbers come up, and I've been, adding up the numbers.
And yet, on the basis that the majority of characters are in that 199 alliances, 70% of CCP's developer focus is on the new player experience.
Right.
Because that's going really well, huh?
I can't really fault them for that if we want to get new players in. I mean,
are we interested in?
Because I'll go ahead and say this. I'll go ahead and say this. All right. Your drug dealer doesn't care about his current customers; they're addicts. He wants the new customers to become addicts. If we're still here, we're pretty much screwed.
Yeah,
we're already locked in the crack house.
But only if we're still paying.
No, there is nothing wrong with the new player experience. It's just a game like Eve. Damn, it's a hard. I mean, think about when you explain Eve to a non-Eve person. That's what you're doing when you get a new player in.
Yeah.
Right? It's not easy to do. And the easiest thing to make you play Eve again is get you hooked up with other people who play Eve and you like.
Right, but I do think that while there is good reason for them to put effort into the new player experience, I think that the last 3 new player experience overhauls, each of which I think has lasted something like between 9 and 18 months.
Yeah.
I think they've all been just fine. It's not the new player experience that's the problem. It's the fact that after that, you get dumped into Eve. And it's a slap in the face because the difference is night and day.
It's funny. Eve Amsterdam 2019, CCP talked about, CCP Ghost specifically, made a presentation about the situation when it comes to how people begin and stay in Eve.
Yeah.
And the general conclusion was that, hey, they stay in Eve if they join a player group and have a community to help support them.
Yeah, that's only.
And yet, here we are, 3 years later, we're on new player experience revamp 5.1 or something.
Let the data guide you, right?
They still aren't staying in Eve.
I mean, no, what I'm just saying is, and it goes on that first conversation that we had, which we won't share about work that made us be a little late, is let the data guide you to the solution, right?
Yeah.
And the most important thing when you do that, and this is why every company spends a bajillion dollars that is big enough on analytics and understanding their customers, right? It's why we have machine learning built into systems that will predict things about your customers and your employees and things like that based on their current behavior, right? So again, I think CCP probably, and by the way, we don't know whether they do this or not, right? Should really maybe look at an outside firm to look at some of their data and their analytics to help them through and decision some of this stuff. It's not necessarily a bad thing, and I don't know that they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, right? When you come to averages of what you see in players, right?
Eric, here's what you're getting towards in a very blunt format. Garbage in equals garbage out.
Yeah. I mean, they've just got to decide to do it. I think. See, I come from the best advertising that you have is from your players and the things that they do in the game and the press that you get, right? So if you make your game interesting to your current players, right, in some ways, spending 70% of your developer resources on new player experience for a year plus, right, is something in your management of your environment should tell you that's probably not a good metric internally, right? You should be spending X% of your workforce on new and interesting things, and X%
I
of
got
your
a flag.
workforce.
Catch you guys later.
Hey, thanks, Horrendous. And 30% on new, and 70% on a single aspect of the game to get more players, right? What is the expenditure of 70% of your workforce? That's going to be huge, because somewhere around 60% is probably where their payroll is of what they do, of their expense, right? So 70% of that, 60%, right? Think of what you're spending if those numbers are right. We don't know. Right? So what are you spending on new player experience, and what is that getting you? What's the yield on that? Only CCP knows those things. And that's where bringing in sort of an outside firm to kind of assess that for you kind of gives you an unobjective look at that, right? So, but, I would think you would be spending opposite, 70% on the game, 30% on your new player experience. That's where you should really be using those resources and using outside firms to direct that 30%. Right? I mean, that's just from a business perspective. That's how I see it. And there may be, again, when we talk about companies like this, right? We're making a lot of assumptions internally to what we think the world is like. I mean, as commentators, as players, customers, right? We think certain things should happen because we have a certain view. That doesn't mean we're necessarily right, but at least we're questioning it. And when CCP comes out and says 70% of our resources have been working on the new player experience, that's a red flag to me as an analyst, right?
It's a huge amount.
Yeah,
right?
it seems big. It does seem big, right? And it seems kind of wrong big.
No, it doesn't even seem big. It is a legitimately huge amount compared to what they look at and what we see as their player base.
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, I say that as like somebody who asks those questions of their customers sometimes, right? And looks at some of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, just different words, right? You would say that seems like if I was sitting across from Hilmar, I would say, Hilmar, is it really 70%, or you kind of just press release that to make everybody feel good? What's the real number, right? If I'm an analyst for him. And then we go through that, and I'd say, if it truly was 70%, I would say, doesn't that seem large to you? What's your how much money is that cost yielding, right? Because if it's $100 and it's yielding $120, okay, 70% is not bad. You're net positive, right? Is that still the right place to put it? Would you be more net positive the other way? I don't know, right? You have to do that assessment. But if you're sitting there saying,
what is the 30%? What is the 30% yielding?
Well, yeah, again, what is your cost benefit on your internal expense expenditure, right? And then
I mean, how?
But if you're 70%,
the question is, how many subscriptions are you losing?
Well, the other thing you have to
the 70% focus on the new player experience.
Well, that is also, but that's part of it, right? They have to understand and know for sure. So if you can determine, and by the way, remember, a new player is not a new player in EVE. Historically, we know, like I used to have like freaking, I don't know, 7 accounts loaded up. 21 characters were me, Eric. Okay. And I paid for all of those accounts. And they all had to show up as a new player. But does CCP differentiate that, right? Do you differentiate a player that has played for decades that creates a new account and new characters in it, right? Do you differentiate that from an actual true new player? That is a question that would factor into that. And by the way, you're not going to get 100% perfect on a metric, but you need to be able to get pretty close, right? To know whether your NPE matters. Because if I create a new character, I don't give a shit about the NPE. It's a pain in the ass to me. I just want to erase it, right? I don't need it.
Yeah.
And by the way, and then the other side of that coin is how many people are down to 1 account or no accounts, right? Who used to have 10 accounts that they paid for, right?
Yeah, I'll my hand up to that.
Well, I'll tell you, Blackout was that turning point, and I went down to one account. Now, I will,
It's
like,
broken nowadays.
yeah. So, what did you lose by that decision, right? And I think they know internally some of those numbers. And they're slow to react, right? Remember, we see things in real time more than they do. They're doing jobs, right? And they look at things in different ways at CCP. So from a company perspective, they're always going to lag in their response. And as Brisk says, much to his point, it is very clear that they are trying to do better. The question is, and because of CCP's history, I have this question, right? Okay, it took us almost a year to get them to understand that dreads and things are too expensive based on what they did.
Well, and they reduced the price, but they didn't increase the benefit to like getting the stuff to make them. Like Jita has what, maybe 20 dreads worth of stuff in it.
Well, and so that's where analytics come in and help a company, right? What's really on the market at any given time? They should be able to do that query. The fact that they can't do the MER, right, and get that right makes you wonder if they're actually looking at on-market metrics and things like that. If you sit there and tell me a game, the scale of Eve, with the player base that it has, only has enough in Jita on the market to make 20 dreads, that's like 3 red flags to me if I were the owner of CCP Games. That would be concerning to me. I don't know whether that's real or not, right? Don, you said that. But if that's true, that would be, really scary to me as an owner.
It's more of like, it's so hard to get the stuff, and it's so complicated that no one wants to get the stuff to do it.
Well, and that will show if they're doing proper analytics on what's happening in the game, right? They really need to have an analytics dashboard where they can go in and it's fed near real time to certain metrics, and they need to understand that their data behind those metrics is good and right, and that only then can they make the right decision on doing things. I'm very much against using player stockpiles or inventory to the degree that I think they rely on them, because you have no idea whether that character really is that active and acting on those stockpiles, or just holding them, or they're just landlocked. You don't know whether they're landlocked. I could have billions and billions and billions and billions of ISK and ore on one of my characters, and I could be playing with another character, and I have no intent of ever touching that character again. Doesn't matter. So yeah, you have all of that going on in the game, and it's very complicated. I understand it's hard, but I think I always question, if you can't run the MER and get accurate results out of the MER, then how good you are at understanding your internal analytics in your game and making sure that you have the right data for that, right? It's all combined, right? So I question. I guess I'm at the point of having dealt with CCP for so many decades that I really question whether they have the capability to the things that they do and they say be right. Now, that doesn't discount that if they make good moves, and these good moves, and people are happy with these moves that they made, that that we shouldn't accept them and be happy about them. But Don, like you say, you still feel that it's, as a player, customer, right? They're still complicated, or too complicated to get that, and there's not enough of it around, right? So, those are just challenges that CCP has to deal with. I personally believe that these were released now so that they have a happier crowd at FanFest.
They're trying to have a happier crowd.
Yeah, they're trying to have a happier crowd because I think they know they're going to get trounced. Right, and it will be interesting to see the crowds and the number of people who actually show up. Right, are they still running the early bird cost special?
Yeah, the early bird is still a thing.
So if you're less than a month out, right? Because that's Mother's Day weekend, right?
Yeah.
You're a couple weeks out, 3 weeks out, right?
We're currently, like 2.5, 3 weeks out.
Yeah. So if you're still running early bird special, that means everybody in marketing, everybody who's ever sold anything understands that concept, right? We don't have to say it. So there's a challenge.
We've got Goon Berlin happening in the middle of July, so we're like 2.5 months out. We did an impromptu straw poll.
I meant to set up a poll, but I didn't. So I'm sorry, folks.
Oh no,
go ahead.
For the Berlin meet, we did an impromptu straw poll about which Europe meet people were going to. We currently have 30 people going to Goon Berlin and 10 going to FanFest. 10 people who have steamed the straw poll are going to FanFest versus 30 going to Berlin. Erik.
How did that just happen? I wasn't even touching anything. I mean, I'm literally sitting here, my hands like right here. Like, how the hell did it mute? But anyway, I'm saying 10, right? I was always confused.
I've got to address Brisk Rubal in Twitch chat saying that his understanding is that this will be the biggest FanFest since at least 2018. This will be the first FanFest since 2018.
So yes, it will be the biggest.
He says 2017. Actually, he's moved it forward a year. Don't worry.
I mean, he can move it forward a year, but
backward.
There are still early bird tickets on Eventbrite.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to see here?
I mean, again, it will be interesting. We'll see, and we'll know, and people will be there, and they'll be able to say,
punch all of you in the dick if you keep doing this pedantic bullshit to me.
What are we doing to you?
FanFest in 2017. There was a FanFest in 2018. There was no FanFest in 2019. There were sales for 2020. It got canceled like a month beforehand. My understanding is this is the biggest FanFest that they have done at least since 2017. So it's
congratulations to them.
It's not like there's nobody going.
We didn't say there was nobody going. I said we will see.
I am just trying to provide you guys with information.
People are going, Brisk. It's just that our people aren't going.
Yeah.
And also, just as a point, congratulations on your appointment as one of the CCP TV hosts for FanFest this year.
I get more extra free work to do.
Well, why the hell do you sign up for that? You
do more work.
I don't know. I wanted to have something to do while I was there.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. I just wanted to yell at you again,
Erik. Little less grumpy, Brisk. We love you.
No.
Okay. Yes.
I got to keep it going.
Grumpy old man.
I have to stoke the fires until 4:00. All
right. Take care, man. I do love him.
Brisk's great. The fact that Brisk has put himself forward to be one of their hosts.
Yeah. I didn't know
that. The CCP stream during FanFest. That's insane to me, but bravo, Brisk. Well done.
Yeah. By the way, Brisk, just get one of these nice...
We love your engagement.
Just get one of these little red Solo cups, right? Fill it right to the brim. It fills perfectly with vodka, and you just sip it all day. It's beautiful. It really, really calms the nerves. It does.
I mean, yeah. Goonie says that Brisk has faith, and
he does.
I think we can all all agree with that. Yeah, congratulations, Brisk, on your faith. The rest of us are not quite that engaged, but yeah.
I just have
good job, buddy.
I just have trouble getting excited about CCP announcements personally because I've just seen them go so wrong. I hope that these all end up good. I do. But the jury's going to be out until I actually see some good come out of them. That's all. Hey, do you know it is... We only have 12 minutes left. Can you believe that bullshit, Kirk?
I can absolutely believe that bullshit.
By the way,
because
Dawn,
we're good at chatting utter shit.
Hey, Dawn, do they have a seal show there? Anything? You know, if you are going to a dolphin and a seal show, you should have live streamed that shit. We could have shared that with our audience.
We can't because they play copyrighted music. They're playing Disney songs. We would have been stricken down real quick.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. Oh, Jordan Spieth, by the way, everybody, 6 under par, and he just hit a really bad shot off the tee because he's willing it to go another direction, and he is in the sand, ladies and gentlemen. I know you all love golf so much.
There we have our golf news of the day.
That was it. That's all we're
going
to
to see F1 tomorrow.
Is that a new segment that we're doing? Is golf news?
No.
Only for we only do it the week of Masters and the week of the Heritage Classic.
But yeah, next week we're gonna see F1 going really well. Mercedes are getting trashed as it happens when it comes to F1 this year, so things might be a bit more interesting. And yeah.
By the way, I don't know who teed off after Spieth, but he's doing the same thing. For those who don't know, the Harbortown Golf Links are a narrow as shit fairway place. I may have bounced a few balls off some people's houses once or twice. So, seriously,
good job, Eric.
By the way, it just skips right across, go boom, 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 and if you're lucky, it kicks back out into the fairway, but not usually. My son actually, last time we played over there, he hit somebody's window. They were smart enough to make it plexiglass guarded and did no damage, thank God. But yeah, whack. Terrible. All right. So one last thing. Let's do it. We'll do it a little early because it's Easter weekend. There's only 3 of us. Dawn, you want to do your one last thing so you can get through it?
Yeah. So reminder, we're going to be looking at doing an Eve cruise next year.
It's just horrendous for everyone.
So, pending craziness happening, of course. So
really,
if that's something you want
it's breaking
to know about, or get interested in, reach out to me.
Dawn is roboting. Good.
Yeah. Sorry. All right, Dirk, you want to try?
My one last thing is to note that we have the last Anger Games opens before we go live next weekend.
Yeah. That's
next Sunday. It's going to be happening from 18 to 2100 Eve time with a couple of other potential options if we have a lot of signups. Beyond that, April 30th. We are 2 weeks out, April 30th, for the Anger Games feeder rounds. We're going to have a ton of matches. There's going to be a ton of teams competing to get into the tournament proper. We're really looking forward to it. We hope that you will be looking forward to it. We're currently on track to be on CCP's channel, and it's going to be great. So yeah, Anger Games coming to a Twitch channel near you sometime soon. Eve tournaments are great.
All right. I'm just gonna say my one last thing. It is all about Brisk. So my one last thing is the last time I heard the word pedantic used was in the movie Hitch. So thank you for reminding me that word is in the English language. Brisk. Love you, brother. Everybody take care. Have a happy Ramadan, Passover, and Easter. So everybody enjoy. We will see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.